welcome to the 19th Tuesday Literary Series. My name is Celena Diana Bumpus, and we have two exciting authors that are going to be here today sharing their literary expertise with us. But first, we're going to have a really nice treat. Dia?
Thank you. Thank you, Thank you. Nice to meet you all. My mom is one of the speakers, one of the authors here, and I'm a stand-up comedian, so she asked me to tell some jokes, which I reluctantly accepted because her book is the harrowing tale of a Vietnam refugee. And what's a better opener than comedy? No, I'm excited to be here. She made me. She said she's going to leave me off for dedication if I didn't do this. Right now it says to my husband and 3 kids, and if I wasn't here, it would be 2 of my husband and 2 children.
You'll be walking home.
Yes, exactly. No, I'm excited to be here. I'm 22. I'm unemployed. It's hard because I'm still not too sure what I want to do with my life right now. Like last spring, I graduated with a degree in biology, but at that time, I'd also been doing stand-up for a while. So I was really arriving at a crossroads in my life, but turns out both paths led right back to my parents' house. She isn't too happy. My mom isn't happy I'm home. She actually wanted to rent out my childhood bedroom. And I had to sit her down and be like, please, Mom, don't make me pay full price. Just give me a discount. I'm your son. It's hard for me to find a job. I'm on the job search. I'm trying to beef up my resume. I didn't even know you're allowed to do this. Did you know you're allowed to write things on your resume that aren't true?
Yes.
Yes. How do they check? They call a number that you also get to write down there. I wrote that I went to prison on my resume. You're allowed to do that, and they won't check. Let me explain. Right now, I just have like a college degree and 1 internship. It's pretty mediocre for a 22-year-old nowadays. But if the job interviewer sees that I have a college degree and 1 internship after I spent 4 years in prison, it's like, wow, man, you really turned your life around. Welcome to Taco Bell, you're hired. My parents are both immigrants, but I was born here at the Janet Senior Center, right down here. One of the few babies here. No, but growing up for me was kind of weird because my parents would dress me in clothes they thought were American, but weren't really. Like, my entire childhood, I wore these pants that you could, like, unzip to become shorts. So that no matter the weather, I could get bullied. I had to get rid of the pants. When a girl tells you to unzip your pants, your first answer should not be, where? Okay, those are my jokes. Enjoy my mom, everybody.
Young man, and I'm looking for people don't want to work.
No, really?
I feel in the business, they don't want to work.
Thank you, Dia. First and foremost, I would like to take a few words to express my gratitude to Celena Diana for bringing me in this beautiful location and allow me to have the opportunity to share my memoir, Behind the Red Curtain, and tell you my story. And since this is a creative writing class, I think we all are gathered here to find a way somehow to write about and share our stories. So this is common purpose. So I am not the one who is talking in vacuum here. I talk to the receptive ears. And we are also coming here to listen to one another's stories. And today, you are the listeners. And we come here to also celebrate our common humanity and celebrate the world of words, of writing, of books, authors and writers. So we have a lot in common in this same room. My name is Hong Mi Basrai, and I was formerly Lê Thị Hồng Mi, that is Vietnamese. I am a first generation immigrant, and like most immigrants, I still bear the pain of being the outsiders, but also enjoy the wonder of discoveries. The discovery of a brand new language, to me, is English. The discovery of a different culture and different place, different country. First, I'd like to find out in my audience how many of you here are first generation immigrants. Wow.
Yeah, let me say so.
Yes. And how about if the rest, how about second generation or whose family have immigrant roots? You should all raise your hands, because unless you are Native Americans, you are all immigrants, roots, offspring of immigrants.
And they immigrated too. The Native Americans immigrated too. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's why that's the beauty of this country, that we all come from different places and we share this space together. At one point in my, after my arrival here, I was given the option to somehow upgrade my name to something more English sounding, like Rebecca. I contemplated Rebecca because it was one of my favorite book from Daphne du Maurier. I'm not sure if you read those. Yes, it's a little bit mystery and romance. So it's the best book to read. And then I contemplated Carolina, because my brother lived in North Carolina. And then I say, oh, maybe Martha, which is still my Catholic name. But then I decided that somehow I am none of those names. I want to be still myself, and I kept my Vietnamese name that my parents gave me. Though until today, my name continuously give me lots of troubles. In Vietnam, people call me Me, and if I had insisted on people here calling me that, then I will not be ever addressed by my name. So I make it a little bit easier for people. So I say my name is Mi. And although Mi is my older sister's name, her name is Hong Mi, and my name is Hong Mi. In Vietnamese, it's completely different, but in your ears, maybe it's just different wind sound. Then I find myself having to continuously correct people when they see my name M-Y, last name L-E, on the piece of paper. Right away is Miley. Hi, nice to meet you. And I said, no, it's not Miley, it's Mi Lê. And Mi is M-Y, like Tony M-Y. You say Tony, you didn't say Tonai. And Lê is like the past tense of lie. You see? Right away, on day one, I have to learn the English grammar in order to clarify my name, so I'm expert. So I, like all immigrants, the minute I landed here, I grasped that wonderful, bountiful opportunities offered me by this country. With both hands and both feet, I grasped, and I enrolled myself into community college, not knowing one English word yet, except thank you or hi or bye, the easy one that I have picked up. And then that's not enough. That's not all the opportunities that there's so many. I find a part-time job to make my life more exciting. And the day that I interview, I have told the manager I have applied for a position in a chemistry lab. And I told Angela, my manager, about the pronunciation of my name because, of course, seeing my name on a piece of paper, I already say, hi, mi lai, or something like that, is pronouncing it a little bit differently. But unfortunately, fortunately, I got hired into the position of the analyst in that chemistry lab. But unfortunately, Angela wasn't in on my first day of work. And nobody knew who I was and where to put me in that huge lab. So they sent me to the office. And I said, hi, my name is Mi Lei. And the secretary just looked at me weird. And she said, oh, I am so confused. And I was used to that. So I was about to get into the details of my name, and it is me, yes, although it is spelled M-Y, etc., etc. And Judy burst out laughing hysterically. She said, ha ha ha, this morning when Angela called me to put me in the wet lab, I thought she went crazy because she has been here for so long, and why does she want to go back in that area of the lab to work? So me is you. I mean, you are me. Oh my God, it's so confusing. So that's why I said this will not work to call myself me. So I take my embellishment, Hong, is just an embellishment, just like you sometimes have Mary Teresa, something like that. So Mary was never used actually in Vietnam. So I took my embellishment Hong and make a whole first name is Hong Mi to make it easier for people over here, and so that those kind of episodes of confusion do not ever happen again. Yet, trouble never leaves me. When people ask me name, I said Hong Mi, and men look at me very weird, very confused. So I have to again explain the spelling of my name. It's not Honkme, but Hongmy. So I am not unique though. Each immigrant carries a story like mine, a name that spells confusion, and a very humble beginning. And why do I talk so much about name? Because you know, when we landed in a different country, we lost everything, including our identity. We have to reinvent ourselves. And in my case, and in many people's case, the question of whether to start anew with a brand new identity, give yourself a completely a new name that sounds familiar to people's tongues, or to hang on a little bit longer to your past, to who you are. So that is something that I would like to share. Now, I would like to give you a little bit of background of my memoir. I first penned my memoir behind the red curtain about 10-12 years ago when this guy hit 5th grade. I homeschooled both of my kids at home, and I had to learn how to write English in order to teach them, and I found it quite inborn. I was very familiar with the language because I spoke French when I grew up, and it's just a matter of switching the way you pronounce certain words. So I allow myself that time to reconnect it with my first passion, which was writing. And I write, that's why this book came about. It took me a year to finish, but forever since, I kept working at it, changing it, fixing it. So a book, let me tell you, is never going to be finished until the day you send it out and just forget about it. Okay, so this is the work that I'm done up till now, and you take it, but I'm still going to keep molding and changing it. So that's why there's edition 1 and edition 2 and all the kind of editions. That's to give you hope that you're never going to be perfect. We are, writers are artists. No art came out perfect. Behind the Red Curtain starts in Saigon, begins in Saigon in 1975. As South Vietnam falls to the communist North Vietnamese. Who are familiar with the history? Yes, so yes. The account is told in the voice of a 13-year-old girl when her life was turned upside down by the loss of her native city, Saigon. With her was her immediate family of 5, her parents and 3 younger siblings. The lay was upper middle class Catholics. So to the newly established communist government, the lay's social status, also coupled with the fact that the father had worked for ESSO, which is Exxon here, also had sent 5 older children abroad to study. And the fact that they live in a large villa made the lay the enemies of the Red Party and its people. So we had to find ways to get out. Behind the Red Curtain is a harrowing tale of coping and survival. We all are familiar with this coping and survival. Sometimes in our life, something has changed. We have to cope with it. It has subsequent chronicles of escape, separation, loss of home, escape by both life in prison, a close encounter with the Khmer Rouge, and a forced labor camp. Yet, throughout the protagonist's unique voice, blending pathos to humor to make Behind the Red Curtain a narration of unexpected comical situation found under intense duress. We found ways to laugh at our own pains. It is a story of fierce love between parents and children, and desperate hope in the hearts and minds of indomitable spirits who sing only to soar up again and again and again. Within the bigger national drama is also Hong Me's, myself, private journey of coming of age in an uncertain time. So let us dive into a chapter about one of the characters that is very dear to me, my paternal grandma. I'm going to use the handout, so you should find the handout on the tables. Do you need one?
Oh, the man in the
Yeah.
cap, he'll want one. Oops, sorry.
I'm going to read only half of this chapter, and we will break to go through a few questions and do a small exercise, and if time allows, go back and complete the rest of the chapter. Okay? Paternal grandma. Eventually, there would be no return to the happiness or sorrow of yesteryear. There would be no return to my childhood home standing proud and tall, her coat redder than the rising sun in the east, warmer than the pulsing blood in young men's veins. No return to the sound of our church bells. Time trickles through life's cupped hands, drop by drop, until it is no more, leaving mere remembrances of distorted figures, of muted sound trying to vibrate stimming chords, but in vain. In vain I sought back the afternoon of my girlhood for the clucking hands familiar pop 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 announcements of the explosion of her eggs, for the squeaky protest of a faucet handle in the garden, my brother's howling, ow, ow, his face constructed as if in great pain, when I hadn't yet laid a hand on him, for the tall, fruitful coconut tree by the western wall between our home and church, the tips of its true palms scraping the tin roof of the chicken pen like a woman's fingernails. Under that tree, Grandma's maid, Chiba, squatted, working the faucet to let out gushes of water to clean the crabs and shrimps. When the rinsing water was clear, Chiba would pour small batches of the crustacean into a soldier helmet, which she used as a mortar to grind into pulp for Grandma's soup. Chiba was an older, small and bent country woman with eyes bleached gray by the sun, eyes that would never need reading glasses, with feet that had traveled countless country roads and crossed many thresholds of life, with hands intimate with the earth's soil, kill chickens and fish for meat, chop wood for fire, and close the eyelids of dead relatives. Her ebony-colored hair hid gray streaks underneath. Her face could fool people into thinking that she was grim, but once we sat down to chat with her, hard laughter escaped her belly and filled her eyes with tears. Together in the same house, Chiba and our grandma formed a contrasting pair, with Chiba wearing only black and grandma only white, one atheist, the other a devout Catholic. However, their tongues remembered the same thing, speaking with a sharp accent that confused our southern mates, and favoring the taste of certain regional food, for they both were from the same part of the country, born in that same generation in which shiny black-dyed teeth were considered attractive. Grandma counted on her cuckoo clocks to tell her the time, on the church bell to remind her of the 3 daily masses, and on Chiba for every domestic task. We too went looking for Chiba after our naps. We often sidled up to her for the small treats that she dispensed carefully from Grandma's kitchen, clucking intermittently. That's about all I can spare. Run along now. And we came back again after finishing the little morsels she distributed evenly among us, asking for just one more piece, please. Sometimes we found her dozing off on her hindquarters, her head inside her arms. We had no mercy for her. We took great fun leaping up and landing just behind her with both our hands shoving, screaming, "Ho!" and bursting into laughter when she startled up, her eyes still full of sleep. Then to appease her, we offered to pluck her gray hair. What a pleasure it gave her. Our little fingers traveled her scalp, separating her black strands and spotting the silver thread, crept to it, slowly picking it out when she moaned, "Ah, oh." We gave each silver hair to her to count, and was happy for her when she smiled broadly, praising us. "Your eyes are so bright." She also wanted us to pull out some of the black hair that were a little wavy, the bad, itchy hair. Chiba stayed with Grandma and only left for a week to visit her hometown every few years. It never occurred to us to question why her life was such that she did not have a family and a place of her own to go back more frequently. She existed for us as naturally as that coconut tree in our yard. You don't have the rest, so I make you listen more than read now. I often came to Chiba alone. This afternoon, I sat close watching her movements as she drove her peso rhythmically into the metal helmet, sounding a gong-like music, which was perfumed with an aroma of freshly crowned crustaceans. Tell me some ghost stories, I suggested to her, wishing to be further entertained. You ever heard of a girl spirit dragging herself nightly in the dormitory of a high school? She began, however, still focusing hard at her task and shifting her legs now and then to let her blood circulate. Tell me, I implored, pushing closer. The wind lifted, scooping up leaves and dust into a swirling spiral. In the center was dancing phantoms. Swarms of dragonflies swooped around the garden, joining the leaves and dust in an aerial choreograph. That girl killed herself because she did not pass her exam. She hung herself with her own hair above the school dormitory. Nobody prevented her. No one saw. It was during a holiday. She stayed back to study. How vividly in my mind was this silent specter, suspended in the air by her long hair that had been shiny and velvety, combed daily with the conscience of a well-raised, well-educated girl. That feminine luster haunted me each time I walked down a dark hallway, all alone. I heard her distinctly, dragging herself under the weight of her academic burdens. As the clock chimed 3, I left Chiba to gather my siblings and join Grandma in her midday prayer. There she was, a small and frail figure, dignified in her white cotton pajamas. She lit the candles on Grandpa's altar and fumbled in her pocket for her black rosary. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mirth, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. Afterward, she distributed our long-anticipated rewards, our edible treats, from sweet sugar lumps to a large bowl of cold rice and soup, and sometimes ripe dwarf bananas that somehow tasted more delicious from her. We lingered to bother Grandma with our silly questions. Questions like, why is your skin so wrinkled and thin? We wanted to know if she liked the old man who came daily leaning on his cane to pay her a visit. We asked her if she loved our dad, her son, more than our mom, and why she needed to iron her underwear. Grandma, at times exasperated, looked up to heaven, smoothed her pants with her 2 hands, and lamented, Jesus, Maria, my God! We loved to climb Grandma's many trees, especially the fruitless mango by her front entrance. When Grandma caught us dangling on her mango branches like monkeys, she would rush out with her white paper fan and try to hit our legs. She wailed, Jesus, Maria, my God, if your mother sees this, filling us with thrills. Grandma's favorite dish was dog meat. Every now and then, she would smack her lips when she saw our mud bijou frolicking in the yard. If I was nearby, she would call out to ask me how old our pet was, then sigh. What a waste of God's gift to let that meat toughen. We were torn between relief and horror each time Uncle Wing supplied his dear mother with her delicacy, brought to her in a tin box. Grandma would ask Chiba to store the box in the refrigerator and consume the white meat little by little. How horrid of Grandma to remark aloud to us how tender the meat was. Seeing the look on our faces, she grinned to appease us, flashing her dark scomosaurus teeth. Instead of toothpaste, she kept her black teeth healthy by chewing daily on betel leaf rolls of tobacco, areca nuts, and pink lime, spitting the bloody colored juice in a copper pot hidden nearby. Each morning, She sat with her hair hanging on one side of her shoulder and combed through the thinning peppery strands, gathering them up into one long tail, which she then wrapped into a black velvet cloth. This she wore tightly around her head, finally securing the neat hairdo with black bobby pins. Her press hung down in two large lumps behind her lower pockets, one of which contained her black rosary. Everything about Grandma was of another time, remote from us. She was closer to God than to us. To us, she was chiefly the messenger to warn us of the penalties below if we failed to pray and attend daily mass. She spent her day reading the Bible, praying, and attending all the 3 masses. She did not have any hobby, never knitted nor sewed, contributing absolutely nothing to this physical work, saving all her labor to secure a seat in heaven. Serene Grandma. The only person who managed to upset her was Chiba. And once, not long ago, we witnessed for the first time a terrible quarrel between her and one of our uncles, her second son. Uncle Zap, the opium smoker, came rarely to Grandma. Auntie Zap made the filial visit instead, bringing her beaming smile, her moonshine face. But that afternoon, though, Uncle Zap paid her a visit and talked with Grandma about the difficult time, about bad luck and health problems. We knew the storm was brewing, for Grandma was very quiet, her face drawn, and both hands smoothing the pants fabric that covered her thighs. She stopped her gesture when Uncle Zap blurted out finally, "You ought to help me. All I need is your antics." Grandma's words came out slowly, like the beads of her rosary, as she pulled them out of her pocket. "And what will they become? Smoke for your pleasure?" He almost jumped up at her. He was furious. "I have the right. I am your son. But no, you despise me. I've been on my own ever since. Not an ounce of help from you. Not an ounce. So you've been sprouting up from a hole," Grandma panted. "Take it. Chiba, let him have it." She called for her maid. Chiba took the key from a very small drawer inside the dining table. She slid open the glass cover of the large sideboard curio. Her hand went inside the case and lovingly took hold of a tiny tea kettle, the one that whistled when poured. I gasped. "Yes, that," Uncle Zap urged. "And that other one, the mink plate." He grasped the porcelain from Chiba's hand. Grandma was livid. "Out of my sight! Out!" Oh, Grandma, that was a hard road for her to travel. Later that year, in front of that curio with the missing tea kettle and mink plate, she sat down with paper and pen to write to Uncle Hoy and Uncle Ling. In her feeble penmanship and broken syntaxes, she wrote to her sons in re-education camps, spelling out each letter, painting each curvature into huge words like a child. These letters would stay pressed inside her Bible until my uncles could be located. May God keep them safe in His love. I will stop right here, and we will go to the last page and talk about of your handout, and we talk about the question that you would ask yourself if you decide to write a memoir. Before you sit down to write your memoir, you need to know why do you want to write it. That is very important. Why do you want to write about yourself? And why do you choose this particular moment? Because memoir is not an autobiography. And you have to choose a moment, and it doesn't have to be chronologically. Certain moment that you link together that is most important in your life. That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Which moments of your life do you want to write about, and why you want about it? Is it something unresolved that needs to be approach, and which point of view you would like to use in your memoir. Do you want to approach it as yourself, just like in my book, or do you want to approach it from a point of view of a third person? So all of that. Some people, because certain thing was so painful or too intimate, they do not want to approach the subject as themselves. They approach it as if it's somebody else's story and you are telling from the third point of view. And in which language, in my case, in which language do I want to write my memoir with? Why didn't I use my the easiest language to me, Vietnamese, to write? Because of these people. I write mostly for my children, and they do not appreciate it at this point, but maybe when they reach our age, they would value what I leave for them behind, so that they understand why they're here, why their parents moved from different country to establish life here. And also another question to address before you sit down to write your memoir is how to find the time to write. Yes, in my case, I didn't sit down to write a memoir. I sit down to correspond with my siblings, the first 5 older brothers and sisters who get out before Saigon was lost. So they did not have the experience that we had. And now and then I tell them about it. And that's how my memoir came about, through series of email, and then I find out that, oh, they can be linked together into a chapter, and from chapter to chapter to chapter, up to a point, the first initial attempt were very difficult. You don't think that you can remember everything, and how do you write? But as things started to develop, things you can't. It's like somebody being dictated. You are being dictated by somebody. You're just right, and you just forget about eating, you forget about time, and it just keeps pouring out, and you just only the median, for the words to come out. So that's when you know you hit the right vein, you hit the right subject that you want to address, and then like me in my case, I actually just started out writing just for the family, and then I say, do I want my story to be told to the world? Is it important that the world should know this? Yes. And then I approached that idea, and with sharing the memoir to different people, it was suggested to me too that you have to tell this to other people outside the family, because it is important. Okay, and then once you decide, okay, I want to write a memoir, you can choose the form that you want to write it in. In my case, it's a book. It's using nonfiction, creative nonfiction, but you can fictionalize, put in something so that you get a step back from the real stories, and maybe do not disclose too much when you are too uncomfortable about disclosing. You can write in poems form. You can write a play, a dance, a song. All is just to let your story out and to share it with an audience. And that audience may be as intimate as your own immediate family, or as large as a workshop like this. And then the rewards after writing it. The immediate rewards was you achieve something. Oh, you feel so good. I get high whenever I write. It's like you being pumped with some kind of wonder drugs, and you feel so accomplished. Yes,
that's true.
Yes, you say that I am unique. I am the one who give birth to these lines, and you fall in love with yourself. How wonderful is that? You don't need anybody. You just need you and your words, and so for me, it's also a cathartic exercise. There is a pain that I need to deal with, and unresolved episode I need to link together to address what has been bothering me. And also, you may write just to leave a legacy, to the world or to your own family, or out of pure vanity. Okay, you want to be an author of a book. That you may want to
Reason
do
enough.
what is best for your name. Your name is important, remember that. So that is the only thing you leave behind once you leave this world. So make it shine. I think that we have 5 minutes until my time is over. So we're just going to go the easy way. The easiest creative exercise is the first exercise. I have given you 2 pages of my memoir. And you can go over these first 2 pages and highlight the author's specific usage of the 5 senses to enliven her sense. Make the characters jump out of the pages and involve the readers. So if you don't have a highlighter, you can just use pen and circle or anything that you find engaging. Maybe it's even an unknown words and you want to find out about that words. And because you want to find out about that word, you find out a word behind that word, So spend maybe 5 minutes to do that. And I have like maybe 5 minutes left to the chapter. So after they doing that exercise, I would like to complete so nobody is burdened with the unknown what's going to happen.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. So I was just talking to Celena before the class start about her watching those Chinese series, and you always want to know more when the series, the episode finish, and that's how you write. You always end where readers want to turn the page. That's where you want to end.
Okay, so,
So 5 minutes.
yeah, take it.
Take a deep breath and you want to stop the camera?